Welcome back to the closet, and welcome back to Mac Music Review. Before I hop into review, just want to say there's going to be some stuff down in the description if you want to know how the channel works. If you want to see what I'm reviewing next, if you want to request an album for me to review, all that good stuff is going to be down in the description. Today we're going to be looking at the album Pure Comedy by Father John Misty. Here is the album cover. Pure Comedy is Father John Misty's third full-length album. It is, by a long shot, his longest album. This album is over an hour and 10 minutes long. I think it's an hour and 17 minutes, with 13 tracks. Some of the songs in this album, like Pure Comedy, over 6 minutes long. Ballad of the Dying Man is like almost 5 minutes long. Leaving LA is like 14 minutes long. The Memo is like 8 minutes long. So I'm Growing Old on Magic Mountain is nearly 10 minutes long. And the last song is over 6 minutes long. So, and then some of the songs in this are like 3 minutes. But, yeah, it is a mammoth album. It is enormous. And it feels even bigger with the amount of how long and drawn out some of the songs are and how slow the music is on this album. Because musically, this is a pretty, on first glance, it's pretty simplistic. On first listen, you hear a lot of real instruments, a lot of piano. That's the main instrument. You're going to hear guitar and piano. A lot of acoustic style guitar and piano. Really hard, loud, deep piano and just guitar. And singing. And vocals. Vocals are the main thing behind this album. Is just Father John Misty singing. Occasionally they'll bring in backup singers. And they're pretty subtle most of the time, but he'll have other people doing vocals in the background reinforcing his vocals. But it's mostly just acoustic style music, and this album's really long. As far as popularity is concerned, this album didn't really have any hits or anything. It got a Grammy nomination. It won a Grammy. But it didn't win the Grammy that mattered. It won like Best Packaging or something, and who cares about that? But it was nominated for Best Alternative Album of the Year, and it didn't win. But, nah. Pure Comedy is one of the most ambitious albums I have ever heard in my entire life. It is one of the biggest, most ground-shaking albums. It tries to be the most important thing in the world. It tries to be the most big, important, just biggest, larger-than-life album. The lyrical content is about humanity, and specifically where humans are right now, and how horrible humans are, and how we're obsessed with our phones, and we're obsessed with media, and we're obsessed with, it is Father John Misty's condemnation of humanity and religion and Christianity specifically, and it's huge. This album is insane. The lyrical content is deep, dark, huge. The scale of humanity huge. It's about humanity, and it's crazy. The first track, Pure Comedy, is basically Father John Misty. Father John Misty starts at the beginning. He talks about birth. He talks about how when we're born, our heads are too big for our mother's hips. And we just hope that something friendly is going to greet us on the other side when we're born. So he, right off the bat, it talks about how being born, and even that is, something's messed up about it. At the end of this song, the title track, he says, "I'm afraid each other's all we've got." After bashing Christianity and bashing religion and God, he says, "I guess each other's all we've got." And that really is the most hopeful and the most grim thing across the entire album. Is all done on the title track. Other songs like Total Entertainment Forever, that one is about VR and the future of VR. It's a painfully real track about how humans are animals and how we turn something that's really cool into something really bad. It's about how we're going to use Well, the opening line is betting Taylor Swift every night inside the Oculus Rift after Mr. and the Mrs. finish dinner and the dishes. And it's about, you know, the future of pornography and the future of VR. I can't argue with it. I'm sure he's gonna 100% nail that. And he talks about how humans were killing ourselves because we're that's what we do. It's so spot on. It's Father John Misty, man. Ballad of the Dying Man is a song where this shows the story of this dying guy, and he's on his phone, and he's like, as he's dying, he's like on Twitter, like bashing the homophobes and the 1% and the people who are against the 1% or the 1% or whatever, and he's going through and he's being a social justice warrior, he's being a conservative, he's being a liberal, and he's you know, bashing the other side as he's dying. He's checking MSN as he's dying. That's the imagery you get, and it's so spot on. It just feels so real, feels so relevant. Like, that's legit what you can imagine. Some people dying, they're on their phone, and it's just... Leaving LA is a 13-minute, 13 verse chorusless diatribe. He literally says that by a white guy. He literally says all that in the song. Something like that. That's paraphrasing, but something like that. Where he just goes against Hollywood. And at first, it's this... You're like, what is going on? It starts off very distant and very away and just very critical of Hollywood. But by the end of the song, the lyrics get really personal and really specific. Where he talks about choking on a watermelon candy in JCPenney's, and his mom like saved him with his mom. He was in JCPenney's with his mom, and he almost choked on a watermelon peppermint, and that's his most profound memory has related to music, because a song was playing in the JCPenney's, and now whenever he hears that song on the radio, he cries. And it's like, dude, the song just, it's this so long, and then right at the end of the song, it gets so personal, and it just totally takes you off guard. And it's incredible. It's amazing how specific the lyrics are. It kind of makes it humorous, but at the same time, it makes it way more real. And it's really good. The last song is called In 20 Years or So, and it very appropriately is the last song on this incredibly depressing, yet also humorous, shockingly, brutally honest, and intelligent and entertaining album. Right at the end, he talks about how we are a speck on a speck on a speck. So while he does all this complaining and points out all that's wrong with humanity, he says, ultimately it doesn't even matter, and that he heard somewhere that in 20 years or so, the human experiment will end. That life as we know it will come to an end on Earth. And how else would you end the album? Is there any better way to end this album about the depressingness of existence and humanity and everything than saying, hey, in 20 years or so, it'll all end, and it doesn't really matter because we're a speck on a speck on a speck. Musically and vocally, this album is incredible. It's fantastic. It's a lot of it, like I said, it comes across as very simple with just piano and guitar, but really there's so much more. They have all these little bits and pieces that are in almost every song that really make the song stand out and really make it incredible. And by the way, the slow, real music on this, the guitar and the piano, is like flawless. It is beautiful. It is so well done. This is slow music done right. This is beautifully, beautifully made, beautifully done. Everything just sounds so elegant and amazing. And musical highlights, total entertainment forever. Like I said, you know, it's about the future of VR, what we're going to be doing with VR. And the tone of the song, the music is so joyous. The music is so upbeat and happy and so energetic, and it's amazing. Pure Comedy has this huge epic moment where he starts screaming and just like from his guts he's singing, and it just sounds amazing. It's truly amazing music at that moment. Things that would have been helpful to know before the revolution has a huge musical highlight, this instrumental section, like after the first verse. I don't know if it has verses, but like near the middle of the song or somewhere near the beginning to middle of the song, the music just gets huge and epic, and it is awesome. It is so cool. Two Wildly Different Perspectives has absolutely haunting music, totally haunting, amazing vocal performance, just shakes you, man. It sounds so good. Even though the lyrics are not perfect, the music just makes them so much stronger and makes them feel better than they actually are. The Memo, at one point of the song, an Alexa starts talking, or it sounds like an Alexa, and it's talking about, do you like music like this? Would you like me to recommend similar artists? It's super meta, and it's this electronic, this auto-tune starts to take over his voice near the end of this song when the Alexa starts talking, and it's insane. It's one of the craziest things I could ever think of hearing in music. When I heard this, listening to this album, listening to this from front to back, when you get to that part, you're like, what in the world? It's crazy. There's no electronic elements, and then this happens. You're like, what is going on? It is so cool. I have a few issues with this album. Number one, the issues he takes with religion kind of bothers me. The shots he takes at Christianity, some of that is kind of not good, in my opinion. He says some incorrect things and makes fun of things that really do have facts and do have stuff behind them, and that personally bothers me as a Christian, so gotta point that out. Birdie, I don't listen to this song very often. It's good, but I don't listen to it that often. It's still amazing music, amazing vocals, probably amazing lyrics. I just don't listen to that one a whole lot. A Bigger Paper Bag also a little bit feels like filler, even though it has one of the best lines in the entire album. The chorus of the song, fantastic line. Besides that, it's not, the lyrics are less specific. It's just kind of a general, hey, humanity's bad. It doesn't have that specific drive that most of the other songs have. Two Wildly Different Perspectives, like I said, some of the lyrics, it simplifies things really hard. Some of the lyrics, some of the points he tries to make on this, if you're actually paying attention, are not very good. He simplifies these arguments. He gives everything two sides, and that literally, that is a fallacy. I don't remember the name of the fallacy, but he does that on this song. And it's sort of poignant, but if you're really paying attention, it's not. Anyway, the music is amazing on this song, so I'm not really gonna bash it too hard. So I'm Growing Old on Magic Mountain is too long. And that's all the complaints. This is an amazing album. I think this album is totally timeless. I think this is one of my all-time favorite albums of all time. That was repetitive. I think this album is truly amazing, but at the same time, I have some issues with it, and I can't give it the best score possible because it is flawed. There are flaws on this album. There are things that are wrong with it, and there are things that are not amazing about it, but ultimately it is groundbreaking. I think this album is going to go down in history. I think it's going to be totally timeless. I'm going to give this thing 4.5 stars out of 5. That ran a little long, and I 100% knew it would, because this is one of my most listened to albums of all time. I think this is one of my most listened to albums of all time. Just lyrically, musically, vocally, I can't get enough of this. This is so good. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for watching the video. Have a good rest of your day.